Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another day of Dota 2 Super League action. We're getting very close. It's been a long journey for many of these teams duking it out in Asia, but we're down to just 3. Yesterday, DK punched their ticket to the grand finals of the whole shebang. Today, Orange and Tongfu will duke it out for that last spot. The loser drops down. They will play LGD China in the 3rd, 4th place decider match, which will happen at the same time, same place, right here tomorrow. But for now, they're keeping the dream alive. I'm LD. He's Merlini. He's Merleezy. What are we calling you nowadays?
LDZ?
I don't even know. Sleazy Merleezy.
We have everything. So many nicknames.
Lots of nicknames.
Hashtag the chin.
let's not go down that road.
No, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't.
Why don't you explain it to me?
I'd rather not explain that to an audience of young ones. We'll hop in the game now. The draft's underway. It's Orange Esports versus Tongfu. Best of 5 format, so you're in for a long call. And well, Tongfu, they may have been watching DK Dota yesterday. Shadow Demon, Anti-Mage, the first 2 choices. And we saw what Burning could do with this combo.
That's a much stronger draft than the draft yesterday, which was Clockwork Anti-Mage. I think Shadow Demon just synergizes so well with this hero. Anti-Mage is already extremely difficult to kill, and if you have like an RP or defensive disrupt, anything like that to try and break a stun lock, he's just insanely difficult to kill. Combine that with a Manta style. If Anti-Mage gets farm, especially Burning's level farm, it's going to be GG.
Yeah, and they have Darkseer. They have a hero that can build a Hex. He's a decent way to deal with Anti-Mage, simply because you can put a lot of pressure on the lane early. You can farm an early mech, helps your team to 5-man and try and end the game quickly.
But at the same
still,
time,
you're giving up the Anti-Mage Shadow Demon.
I mean, Anti-Mage like kind of destroys Darkseer in lane if it's a very good Anti-Mage playing it. Also, Darkseer has like extremely high intelligence gain. His mana pool is usually expended at the end of the fights, especially if you drop a wall and vacuum combo, which most of them do, and it just lines up for huge mana voids.
Yeah, the Sand King was an early selection from Orange Esports. It's a little surprising to see them pick it up this quickly, but it shows you just how much they prioritize their laning stage. They're a team that in the early to mid game, they like to go for a lot of ganks. They like to try and set up kills. And Sand King doesn't have the best initiation range, but if you get a setup for him like a Rubik, maybe a twin-headed dragon could serve in a pinch if you can be clutch with your Ice Pass. They could look for some early kills, and then in the mid game, if he can farm a Blink Dagger, it is one of the few heroes that can jump on AM and reliably lock him down.
We even saw some really nice Darkseer just Burrow Strike combos. You don't necessarily have to get an Epicenter off for Sand King to be extremely effective in setting up those team fights.
Definitely. Orange ban out Kunkka here. It's something that I think we saw Moo has run it a handful of times. It's one of the on and off solo mids for the Chinese teams. It's not usually a first pick material in their eyes, but if it's left in the pool, we saw it can do work against other melees in particular. Heroes like Dragon Knight, I believe we saw yesterday, that Super was dominating as Kunkka.
He combos extremely well with SD though. Usually that Torrent is fairly difficult to hit, but if you have a disruption, it makes it extremely easy. And that amount of burst with Soul Catcher and Torrent and Ghost Ship is almost instant death.
Tongfu, they've done their homework here. They're going to ban out the the Puck, something that KYXY has taken mid with great success, and then the Ohio Windrunner. This for me is one of the key heroes for Orange. I was honestly a little surprised they didn't go for it in the first 2 picks, simply because it opens up your options a lot to try and put pressure on the Anti-Mage in the laning stage. Windrunner probably, I would say, the best farming hero in a tri-lane for just harassing an Anti-Mage and minimizing how much he can farm. You're great at trading auto attacks. You can always pop Windrun if they try and go on you. But in the end, they don't pick it up. I guess the issue is they wouldn't get it with Visage, and that's really been the bread and butter of Orange Esports. The Visage Windrunner +1, something like an Earthshaker, but if they go for it, well, it's not going to be there anymore, but if they had gone for it, they would have done so without the Visage.
We've seen Spectre a lot recently, and I'm curious to see what Orange is going to do for their carry.
There's no Alchemist.
Yeah, Alchemist has been banned out often, and you really need like a super hard carry if you just want to play passive farm wars versus Anti-Mage. If you lose your triple lane versus Anti-Mage, if he gets a couple of kills early and gets an even earlier Battle Fury than he would have free farmed, it's almost certainly GG at that point. So most teams choose to go the less risky route of just passively safe farming on their own. Usually with a Spectre, Alchemist, there's not too many other popular carries. There's still Gyrocopter in the pool actually.
They actually go for Lina here. Rubik was available. I feel like he's the better just ganker for shutting down an Anti-Mage because you get a reliable lift. You can steal Blink. You can chase him. You could even steal Disruption and use that to get some Anti-Mages of your own. But They go for the Lina, a little more burst damage, the stronger aggressive tri-lane hero for sure, and packs a little more punch in the early to mid game. So clearly Orange prioritizing just that early pressure. Darkseer, Sand King, Lina. I don't know if they can find kills with Shadow Demon Anti-Mage and now a Clockwork on the other side, but they can definitely put a lot of pressure on these lanes.
Right, and it definitely works a little bit better with Darkseer. If they get a Burrow Strike into a Light Strike Array on 2 or 3 heroes, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I'm still not sure. I feel like the Rubik could be a little bit more effective, but we'll see what Orange could get done. Let's see if Tongfu makes any mistakes in this laning stage. They go for Clockwork, and I imagine this goes to King J. He's their offlane player. A lot safer than ROTK. You won't see the boomer bust style. You'll see much more of a stable presence.
ROTK, what a player.
It's not to say King J won't die, but if he dies, it's because Orange have smoke ganked him at the tower. They've really made him work for it. And Lone Druid returns. He's been MIA. He's been off in the wilderness singing songs to himself. I imagine the dude's a little loony because he turns into a bear at random. He sounds a little bit anyway in terms of his voice acting, but he's come back, he's made a return, and we'll see what the return of the bear offers for Orange. But look to KYXY to play this. He sometimes takes it solo mid, can absolutely crush any melee hero 1v1. That has not changed. And it could be a safe lane solo, so the options for Orange definitely open.
I think it's a good pickup here. They don't need to babysit the Lone Druid at all, and because of that, the Sand King and Lina can put a lot of pressure on their other lanes and just leave Lone Druid to his own devices, farm it up. He'll most likely have a relatively easy time in any solo lane. Even if he gets a triple lane, it's not that bad for him.
So the big question, Merlini, what is Mushi going to play? The one hero that is in the pool that teams have been banning out in the first stage, occasionally in the second, he slipped through, and also does decently against Anti-Mage, is Outworld Destroyer. Can they lane that? Could you do an OD mid, a Lone Druid safe lane, and then a tri-lane with Darkseer, Sand King, Lina? Is that something Orange would consider here?
I think it's pretty good, but again, I think the Sand King Lina is just more aggressive in nature than let's say a Rubik. Rubik's a little bit better at anti-push. He is a little bit safer with null field, and again, if you want to play like a passive farming game, I feel that they would have drafted already around that. Again, just Sand King.
So you're talking about Rubik, but I'm asking about OD.
Oh, OD? No, I'm saying that they would have picked a different lineup if they wanted to build it around an OD.
Okay,
right?
that makes sense.
Because it's like OD doesn't really have any kill potential middle. He's not like a Queen of Pain or a Puck who can always play aggressively on the hero middle and then just smoke gank and kill a hero that at half HP. And again, I feel like you want like more. If you want Sand King Lina and you want to find kills around the map, you would pick a more aggressive middle hero. If they want to do OD, I mean, it's still a possibility, but
end of the day, OD is not going to outfarm an Anti-Mage if the Anti-Mage has a good start. So you got to find kills. You got to force fights in the early to mid game.
I think it's a little too risky for them. And again, they would have late game covered for sure, though.
Yeah, if they get an OD, they've got 2 natural Hex carriers. The Darkseer can certainly farm one. The Lone Druid gives you that tanky tower pressure hero. What are they going to go for? It's about to be revealed. Orange Esports, it's game 1 of this best of 5, and I'm excited. The last time they met Tongfu was in the Alienware Cup. It was an online event. It was not an elimination match, but they did get 2-0'd, and they got stomped in those matches. So you got to imagine they've done some planning, they've done some research, and they might have something up their sleeve here.
Orange's lineup is actually, they could probably go for a push lineup right now, actually, if they wanted to do maybe, like, I don't know, a Chen or any like push lineup. I'm looking at Tongfu's lineup right now, and they don't actually have that much AoE. They have Jakiro, but like Clockwork Rocket and like Shadow Poison, those are like very mediocre at stopping pushes, especially with this Lone Druid pickup. I feel like they could, if they got off to a decent first 5 minutes, they could just push like all their T1s down and really limit Anti-Mage's farm.
If they wanted to do that, we could see the return of something that Mushi did a few weeks ago, which is the Sand King solo mid against Clockwork perhaps, but not going to be the case. It's a Weaver for Orange Esports. A very aggressive pressure hero, and now the question is, how are they going to lane this? I believe it's going to be a Lone Druid mid, and then a tri-lane Sand King Lina Weaver.
Yeah, the Sand King Lina
are so many options.
They're like
it's really hard to predict.
They're flexible. They can roam wherever they want with Sand King Lina. Again, I like these 3 heroes. They're core solo heroes: Darkseer, Lone Druid, and Weaver. You can pretty much just leave most of them alone, and they also have kill potential too. Again, OD, not really too much kill potential. He won't be able to harass that effectively. And there's a Storm Spirit last.
Tongfu, the range on this team: hook, blink, and zip. They can jump on you from out of nowhere, but Storm's a hero that can be ganked mid early. He'll have to have good positioning. Maybe we'll see Sangsheng with an early teleport scroll.
Hey, you got it right.
Yeah, I got it right.
It's pretty good.
I was waiting for you to applaud me there. I can learn
Fishing
Chinese.
for compliments there, LZ.
What? Fishing for compliments would have been, hey, Merlini, look at how good at Chinese I am.
You were looking at me expectingly.
I was looking at your monitor, so I can talk to you and watch the draft.
Sure.
Don't
Now
flatter yourself,
You're just
Merlini.
trying to be sly about it.
We went to the gym today, and Merlini suddenly thinks he's like king shit.
This is absolutely...
He benched for the first time in like 8 months.
Anyways.
He's been slacking. He's on the Dota diet, guys.
I know. It's bad. It's bad.
It's okay, buddy. We'll get you right if you move out to California.
Anyway, so, I mean, again, Tongfu's lineup is really... It seems much less room for error. If they mess up the early game and Orange really presses the issue with... I got caught up with a bench press. I was like, eh.
You're still thinking about it.
So, but if they press the issue with a lot of 5-man, I feel like Tongfu will just crumble if Orange gets off to maybe like a 3 to 4 kill lead in the start with First Blood. They could just run away with it. Again, push all the T1 towers down, really slow down ATMH's battle fury, control their jungle, and just straight up win the game from there. But on the flip side, Tongfu has a much better like snowball-y sort of lineup. If Storm has an easy time in mid and he gets a really fast Orchid, he can just crush many of these heroes. Weaver just flops without a Lincoln Sphere. If he has an Orchid, Darkseer doesn't fare too well either. Sand King and Lina will also just feed.
You know, I am looking at Tongfu, and they're a bit light on lockdown. End of the day, they have Storm Pull and they have Ice Path, and that's really the only reliable stuns they have. So, if Weaver gets a fast start, if the Lone Juror gets tanky...
What happened to Weaver's mana? Mushi, why do you have 51 mana and no items? Anyways, do you want to go ahead and introduce the lineup?
I think he spammed Sakuchi to drop this Observer Ward.
Okay,
here.
well, that's actually good. Why didn't he buy his items, though? He would have had a little bit more mana.
I'm not sure.
Anyways.
That you'd have to ask Mushi.
Okay, well, at least we know why he doesn't have any mana.
He's actually missing 100 mana here. This is kind of a big deal for Weaver, but we should introduce the players.
Mushi throws beginning early.
Oh, I don't know about that, but we'll introduce RNG Sports. You've got Net, playmaker extraordinaire on the Sand King. He's really the engine for this team. Extinct going to be playing the Lina. The support combo, one of the strongest support duos in Asia. Might have a clash of the room, but I don't think so. Mushi on the carry role as the Weaver. This time around, though, he's not going to have to do all the heavy lifting by his lonesome. They've given KYXY one of his best heroes. I've actually had a chance to talk to Winter, and he says KYXY is a pretty selfish player. So whenever you have him on a 2 or a 3 role, it's best to give him a hero that benefits a lot from farm and can carry, because that's what he likes to do. He's gotten the Lone Druid, a hero who certainly fits the bill there. And last but not least, it'll be Ohio, also known as Ogre. He's your Darkseer. He'll be heading mid. And on the side of Tongfu, we'll have Mu. He's been on a roll lately, playing the Storm Spirit. Tongfu crushed RNG Sports the last time they faced him. King J, the offlaner, he's been in the Dota scene for a very long time. He's got quite a few championships attached to his belt. Hao, the carry player, needs a better haircut, but he is a very stable, solid, if less renowned carry player in the Chinese scene. Sangsheng going to be handling the Shadow Demon. And last but not least, Banana, who joined the team recently from For Love, and along with King J, and he's been doing work as of late.
I like the early playstyle from Orange right now. They have this ward right here. It's a slightly unusual ward placement, but it blocks the spawn and it sees if any of Tongfu's supports are leaving the lane. And as soon as they spot something like this, with Jakiro being out of line, maybe they can go on the anti-mage. Ideally, they'd want Shadow Demon out of there to prevent some of the chain stun. But again, if they see this, I think they might just go on them right now.
Yeah, the camp is currently, there's no creeps currently there, but he's going to rotate all the way towards the bottom rune. Simultaneously, it looks like Net is making his move. He's been getting runes constantly for his team, by the way. I really wish there was an easy way to track the stats for that, because it feels to me like he picks up just about every rune through the laning stage. Let's see if the Net luck is there. It is, and what do you know? It's a haste rune. This guy, I'll tell you. Well, Tongfu, they'll have to be careful now. They have, of course, spotted this, but...
Yep, he's going to secure it for Ohio in the middle. And again, this ward is just extremely good. It isn't seen by the sentry, and it blocks the spawn, and it gains vision of the supports. Very, very important to try and limit the levels of this Jakiro and this Shadow Demon.
And it's also out of range for the standard D ward. The normal one that you put just north of the camp. I believe with the sentry ward north, even if you put it like right here, I think it's just out of range.
But
it's close anyway.
Yeah, Anti-Mage is not that susceptible to harass. He actually went Mana Break at level 2. I'm slightly surprised by that. I think that Spell Shield might be a better choice just because he isn't getting that much CS because of the constant harass, and if he gets a little bit low, they might actually go on him.
I guess end of the day, you always have disruption. So maybe he's figuring Sangchung's the one who's going to die if anyone does. I don't have to be in the front lines. Net, he'll walk forward, he'll hit a creep. I'm just waiting to see if Orange are going to pounce here. They're running an aggressive tri-lane. Weaver 9 for 4, Hao 5 for 3. They are slowing down his farm. And
middle? Oh,
top lane, KJ taking a lot of harassment. Meanwhile, mid lane, Ohio, I think he was trying to farm the small camp.
No, he tried to tower dive, but I mean, Mu doesn't have any mana at this point.
Oh, Weaver with Sakuchi going to back off for the time being. RNG Sports, they have prevented the pulls. Tongfu, no additional sentries on their side right now. They can't deward it. So mission accomplished there. The big question for me is, are they going to try to make a go on Mu before he hits level 6? Are they going to give that away? Because he's 20 and 3 mid. He is equaling the farm of the Darkseer. He's taken a couple of extra points of Remnant early, allowing him to CS a little bit more freely, and also punish the Darkseer if he runs up to the wave. The good news for Orange, though, is KYXY is crushing his lane.
He's dominating King J.
20 and 14. King J is just very sad right now.
Yep, early Uv on KYXY, really, really strong. And he's level 5 right now, so we may actually see a kill potential on Dop. King J knows he's in a lot of danger right now. He doesn't even have mana for cogs.
Net, just stop. Just stop, Net, already. He gets a double damage once again.
I thought he was about to attack. Go on, Banana, right there.
This guy is he's like 10 in a row for guessing runes bottom, or not even guessing, but just checking runes bottom as a tri-lane support and getting them. And turning them into kills a lot of the time, too. So.
Right, and I mean, he knows that Mushi on the Weaver is pretty much safe even if Net leaves the lane. So, I mean, he's doing a very good job of just controlling the bottom lane thus far. And sure, he doesn't have that much CS. He only has 1 right now, but Mushi's doing very well in that department.
They're slowing down the anti-mage's farm, and they're getting close to free farm on their lone druid, and they're trading evenly mid. My only concern is that Storm is having such a powerful start in terms of CS. 30 CS, 5 minutes in, that he could snowball this game for sure. And you look at Orange, they're running an aggressive tri-lane. Burrow strike in, Hao's been caught under the tower. But do they really look to go on this? Just some simple harassment. Extinct wasn't in range for a Light Strike Array. In any case, there's always disruption, so very low chance of getting a kill there. Basically no chance.
Yep, still trying to keep out the pressure on Hao, though. They're a little bit low on regen. Both of the supports have pulled all their regen to the anti-mage, and there is only 1 fast in it, and it is pop right now. So they have a very small window before he gets some more regeneration, whether it be fairy from the chicken or whatnot. But I think they need to make a move before nighttime hits.
There are 6 denies on the Lina as well. So you add up the total denies in this tri-lane, it is 18 denies.
Mu has a TP scroll. Things are going to get a little bit hairy for them. He has 1 bottle charge left, and he may just make a move on bottom. They don't have a ward behind the tower. They had the early ward here, but it is gone right now. Storm Spirit has wards on him, TP scroll. I think this could be an early first blood.
He's playing this matchup so well. I mean, granted he hasn't been ganked, but he's almost level 7.
Oh, he blinked on Net. Oh. just a little bit of harass there.
I come over and they're just
for anti-mage.
Yeah.
So let's see what their next rune is.
Anti-fun indeed.
Oh, ooh, the bear.
Nothing happened.
Wow. I mean, KYXY, he had his rune right. He had his bear right there to control the rune. He picked up the illusion rune on the bear itself. Doesn't actually spawn a bear, but denying Mu, that is huge. If it were an Invis or something like that, again, I think that their Orange is in a very difficult position right now. They sort of limited anti-mage's farm right now, but Mushi has the same amount of last hits as Hao right now, and again, it's a very dangerous time when you're aggressive triple lane, don't have any kills at this point, and I think they don't really have a good combo breaker.
The big thing for me might just be that these supports don't have a thing. Extinct has boots. Net is, I guess he's the one who doesn't, but he's not that far off of them. Tongfu, that missed sentry really hurt them. They're going to go in now. Disruption is here. Ice Path follow-up. Extinct, however, might get out. There's a burrow through. Hao's committing to this. He gets the first blood. He blinks away. It goes to Sangsheng. And Mushi's dropping quickly, too. He pops the stick charges. He will escape. That's bold. To go in with, on paper, not the strongest tri-lane, an anti-mage tri-lane, but perfect chain stun. Caught out of position, was Extinct. Feeds away a first blood.
Yeah, I think it's a good magic stick pickup by Anti-Mage. Again, he's not playing greedy. He gets his boots, he gets his magic stick, and that little bit of early HP. I mean, he might have died there. I thought he was going to.
And all the economic damage they did to this tri-lane mostly negated at this point. They did get a lot of creep denies, but that experience from the first blood really equalizes things. In fact, their supports are basically, they're a little bit behind, but it's not that bad. And if they get a few pulls off, this lane will turn around. Mu still dominating mid. 49 and 13. He's 15 CS ahead of Ohio. The lone really bright spot right now. Oh, bottom lane. Looks like Mushi's been caught in the trees, but he'll Sakuchi away. The lone bright spot is going to continue to be KYXY. Free farm Lone Druid, 47 and 30. Clockwork being a melee hero, though, he still hits level 6, despite 30 freaking denies in the lane.
That is a lot.
If that's a ranged hero, he'd probably be like level 4.
So I wonder what he's going to go for, whether it be perhaps some early items so they can get some early towers, or like a Midas to more of a greedy build, or a Radiance. I think that will dictate the pace of the game for the next 15 minutes.
If he wants to go greedy, do you think that's a mistake? Do you think Orange can take it really late this game? I mean, they do have a pretty decent late game lineup. Weaver's not the hardest carry, but they have a Lone Druid. They have a Darkseer, a decent way to deal with the Anti-Mage, can build a Hex. Do Orange want to take this late, or would that be a mistake?
I think it would be a mistake. I don't think they have enough damage to kill the Anti-Mage, and Weaver he's a decent carry, but he doesn't have like bursty damage. Like Blink Anti-Mage can just Manta and just like mana void you within a matter of seconds. Weaver can't really blow anyone up that fast, and because of that, I think they'll be quite vulnerable to split pushes, and Anti-Mage with the amount of farm that he has right now, if he gets a maybe 16, 17-minute Battle Fury, then I think they're kind of pressured to take a lot of towers out and not go into the late 40, 50-minute farm wars.
If it was the Alliance, I bet Bulldog would go for a Midas, and then he'd go for a Radiance on top of it. But it's RNG Sports. We'll see what they do.
Early phase boots.
Yep, going for, I guess, the Maelstrom build here. Could be an Assault Cuirass rush, but generally you get the Maelstrom first. It just offers you so much for the cost. And, of course, no more Armlet nowadays. That's the sad thing for RNG Sports. That's not an option. Moo's just farming mid, 63 and 17. The lead farmer is KYXY, but it's a very, very slight advantage for him in terms of net worth right now. And we'll actually see a teleport under cover of smoke, Ohio. He came bottom, but he's forced to go back mid. Also, Tongfu did smoke gank mid. I showed it, but we didn't really talk about it. Didn't work for them. But they're going in now bottom lane. They're trying to make a go on Extinct. He gets disrupted, but it's a long way to dive. I don't know if this is a good play. They get the Ice Path off. They found Net, who came in to try and save Extinct. Or Net Burrow strikes away, I should say. Now Mushi comes forward. He's got Sakuchi, but with Soul Catcher on him, he's dropping fast. He has no Sakuchi cooldown, however. Net caught by a secondary Ice Path. Where's the teleport help? It can't come because it's a Lone Druid safe lane, and then a Darkseer who just TP'd mid. Tongfu, they don't find a kill here, but great awareness, great decision-making. As soon as Ohio TP's mid, they decide they can go on bottom, knowing that the safe lane on Lone Druid can be abused. He can't really join the fights to help.
I feel that Orange already should have made a rotation. I think that they could have shifted Darkseer into bottom lane, player Weaver mid, and just have the Sand King and Lina put a lot of pressure on the Storm Spirit and perhaps put a lot of pressure on the Clockwork. And if he's not around there, you just smoke around from the back and just take down the tower. So I think that Orange isn't really getting much accomplished in this bottom lane. I think they had a good idea at the start to harass them with 2 range heroes and 1 really difficult to kill carry, but again, nothing really accomplished. First nighttime is the time to change things up, and Darkseer would fare pretty well down there, especially if he has 2 insurgents. Actually, he only has 1, but Shadow Demon isn't level 6 yet, so he's not going to be able to purge that off anyways.
Yeah, Songshun, he's gone back to base. He's only level 4, as you mentioned, but he picks up a Smoke of Deceit, a pair of fresh Observer wards, and he'll look to just create a little bit more space for How. How, end of the day, he's your 3rd farmer. He is way ahead of Mushi. Mushi only 36 and 17, and has a death, or not a death to his name, but I guess a few fountain trips to his name is what I should say. And there's been deaths in the tri-lane. So Hal, pulling further and further ahead, picks up his power treads. You talked about Burst, Merlini, and Orange being a bit lacking in that. How we see this a lot from the Asian carries, the Asian anti-mage players. They don't really rush the full Battle Fury unless they're left totally unchecked. They'll usually get the power treads first, and just that little bit of extra HP and the points and stats can make all the difference.
KYXY actually has a cloak on him. Oh, his bear is going to feed 300 right there. Wow, he even used hookshot for that. He did not want that bear to get away.
Did he actually, I don't think he got the last hit, though.
I didn't see anyone get the gold, but regardless, KYXY is going for an early cloak. And you usually see Lone Druids get this once they have a lot of HP, which means usually level 11, maybe level 16, after their first big major damage item. But him going a cloak early just... I mean, it's very strange. He had such a good start, but he really needs to make use of this farm so that Orange can try and get some sort of foothold in this early game.
Problem for me is now if he goes back for a farming item, it's going to be around the time when Anti-Mage is close to completing his Battle Fury.
Right, they have no towers down right now. I mean, he was doing so well versus Clockwork up top, but not being able to put a lot of pressure on that top tower is only at half HP right now. I think that hurts them a little bit.
Smoke for Tongfu. They've done it behind their tier 1 mid, and they'll head towards top. Banana, he'll probably be the second one in, but for right now, leads the way on the twin-headed dragon. They do have a Storm Spear top. Hasterin up a Moo, has 11 stick charges to his name. He'll probably pop them now after dropping an item. Nope, not going to bother, but they could make a dive. Unfortunately, there's nobody here because RNG Sports have smoked as well. They've rotated bottom. Net no boots, though. This is a big problem for them. He will need Surge to get into these fights quickly.
Oh, he gets popped out.
Well,
the jig is up.
Yeah, the jig is up. And how? He'll go jungle, and he finds a great creep for Anti-Mage to farm early. These all have mana, so a little bit faster for him. Oh no, KYXY, he's running to Sangsheng in the jungle. Can they bring him down? KYXY says, get me out of here. No zip. Now Moo with the haster, and he thinks about it. But that's a long commitment. They're going to pressure the anti-mage's lane. They'll try to slow down House Farm and also take a tier 1. But here comes the teleport. It's Storm first. Burrow on top of him. He's dropping low. Back up. Sangsheng will be the one to fall. Actually, now Moo going to work. I think it was the second one, and it looked like he was the first. Mushi dropping low. Has Sakuchi in just 1 second. He's only level 6. Only has a level 2 Sakuchi. He time-lapses out. He's trying to hoof it out of here. Extinct's in trouble. Light Strike erased. I think wanted to go further in the trees. The hook hits an allied hero, not the Lina. Won't stun her.
That was looking really bad.
Really big luck there for RNG Sports. Somehow they actually get a kill and get out scot-free.
Oh, well, Sinking died, I guess.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But, I mean, that could have been so much worse for that. I think they were going to... I thought that Weaver was going to die after he got hit by the rocket, and I thought that Lina was going to get hookshot. But luckily for them, they only escaped with 1 death. But they might lose this tower in the meantime.
Yeah, they have the lineup that you'd expect would be aggressive early. Net, well, he wants to Burrow Strike in. He's slightly out of range. Mushi's behind him. They're going to get the distance. They find Moo as well. He's low on mana. He could be in trouble. Out of stick charges. This is a big kill if they can bring him down, and they will. Ion Shell on the Weaver. Makes you flash back a bit to Treant Living Armor on the Weaver, and they find a couple of important kills there. And I think they'll be able to defend the tower top if they want to. Although KYXY's TP'd bottom, maybe
that
not.
Sinking was at like the very tip of the Burrow Strike. I totally thought it was not going to connect on the THD. Sure, he had Surge, which, I mean, great play by the Darkseer there, noticing that he didn't have boots and needed to catch up. But I totally thought that was going to whiff.
Ohio's teleported top. He's going to have a mech. It's not the fastest mech by any means for a Darkseer who had a pretty easy matchup to farm in. 70 CS 50 minutes in is not bad. He has gone for Arcane Boots first, so it's not a slow mech. I feel like RNG Sports, having gone for these items, Lone Druid and early Cloak, Phase Boots, not going for a farming build, Mushi being denied a bit in the laning stage, only sitting at 57 CS and a clearly superior tri-lane through the early levels. Orange need to take down some more towers. That tier 1 bottom is not enough. It's a nice start for them, but they have to keep the pressure up because how? Well, he's got another 500 gold. If you leave him unchecked for 5 minutes here, he'll have his Battle Fury, and then things will really get problematic.
Yep, and if they leave Moo unchecked too, he's going to have his Orchid. He has 1 Oblivion Staff, 1 Quarter Staff, and 100 gold sitting in his inventory. But with the mech complete and a couple of heroes healing back, I think they might make a move for mid. I think it's a really good time for them to do it before they get their core items, before they get the Orchid up on Storm Spirit, before they have the Battle Fury and the Anti-Mage. If Anti-Mage is forced to fight, they lose a couple of T1s and a lot of map control. And if they do fight, they might just lose a lot of gold.
I just want to point out, Net lives a very charmed life. Goes bottom. What do you know? A rune for him once again. He'll micro his illusions. He'll send them into the jungle. They smoke, and then they head the other way. This could be a great wraparound. Mushi will put a little pressure on Hao, but he's playing it coy. He's playing it cool, like he's just farming in the lane. Little does Hao know that the cavalry are on the way. Net will lead this one. He can be surged. The smoke has been dispelled, and Hao will blink away. That was really unfortunate. Meanwhile, mid lane, they've zipped in on KYXY. Moo's low on mana. Disruption's available. Soul Catcher will clip the bear. This could be 300 gold going the wrong direction if it dives. They found Banana. The Burrow Strike whiffs again by Net. Just can't seem to connect. The bear, that could be 300 gold. Down the drain, it actually won't drop. The uphill miss helping to keep it safe. Forced out the resummon though. And now Mushi rotates into the jungle. He'll continue to pressure Hao's lane, but end of the day, Hao's got a Perseverance up, can withstand a lot of that punishment. And the bear didn't die. That's the good thing for Orange. That is actually a really big deal.
So I think Orange have had a couple of failed smoke ganks, and I think a little bit has to do with Sand King's position. First was down here when Anti-Mage was just swinging by into the jungle, and he got popped. I mean, he was kind of in a position where he had to be up that close, but I think that he could have hit along the fog line, whether it be over here or over here, and then he wouldn't have been revealed, and then just stun the Anti-Mage so that they can kill him. And the second time, again, right here, he was actually facing the wrong direction, and that half a second where he needs to turn around to face the anti-mage and stun was enough for him to get away
King
with Blink.
clearly needs the Earthshaker treatment. He needs that ridiculously fast juke. He needs the Barry Sanders, basically, where he could just spin around and drop a fissure with no problem.
Net finds a Mantle of Intelligence. Well, nice pickup. Take that 150 gold away from the Storm Spirit. He is pretty close to...
If Moo can just casually drop those, you know he's having a good game. And top lane, King J finds a tower tonight against the Lone Druid with Phase Boots and a Mithril Hammer. And you could just tell by the aggressiveness that he's frustrated. Well, a zip by Moo. Pulls Net from behind the tree line. There's your Ice Path. Clips 2. They're low. Net on the run. Blows up while under cover of Sandstorm. And now Net, Extinct Totem plays, purged under the tower. This fight is just not going well for Orange. They even have an early mech, and they still give up 2 kills for naught. And the tower was denied top. A series of very unfortunate events. And Tongfu, this game has that foreboding sense for Orange fans, where it's just not enough damage early. And
I mean, Mushi has a Vit booster. Sure, he's going to survive, but I think he's going to survive.
Well, barely will in the end, but
I mean, I guess it pays off. But again, a lot of these carries are going very safe builds. For example, Anti-Mage going in Magic Stick early and then Treads before Battle Fury. Storm Spirit getting his Treads before just not straight rushing Orchid, even though he had a relatively easy time in middle. Lone Druid picking up this Cloak and Weaver picking up Vitality Booster. And this is the thing of the Eastern scene. They don't want to die if they can avoid it. And this will often mean that they'll forego their first damage item for a... and delay their damage items. But they don't have any damage going on right now. They can't kill anyone.
Sometimes you do need to be greedy. Greed is not always a sin in Dota. It's just often it's the funny thing is when someone gets greedy and they get hilariously punished for it. But this is a game where I would have liked to see either Lone Druid gets greedy.
Nice vacuums.
They have gone in mid. They've channeled Epicenter. Disruption is here, keeping Kinji alive for a while. They bring him down. The cogs are out. 2 heroes trapped in those cogs. Shang-Shung, he's going to stay on the sidelines. Net pulls in, gets pulled in by Moo, but the burrow through again. Moo's overextended. Cocky play from him. Jumps into the cogs, pays with his life. They'll find 3. Triple kill for Ohio, but on the back line to Tao. He jumped in. He administered
6 HP.
Are you
oh my
kidding
goodness.
Me? No, Mushi's found him. No escape for Hao. 1 auto attack. Down he goes. Straight into the meat grinder. And Tongfu, as soon as I said they were finding their footing, they fed nearly all of that footing away, and they are slipping again. They're going to lose 5, it looks like. Banana, a root, and he'll be dead, and there's your root. It's a team wipe for RNG Esports and a Tier 1 mid. How the tides have turned. How the tides have turned.
Storm was very close to his Orchid there, and Anti-Mage just finished her Battle Fury, so they didn't really lose too much in terms of items, but the pace of the game just completely changed right there.
I can't stress enough how close this game just was, and it's still fairly close because Anti-Mage does have his Battle Fury. He got it before he died, but these are those crucial minutes where he could be farming, and he's dead on the sidelines. Sankey maybe farms towards a Blink Dagger. I mean, it's going to be a while before Net gets one, but yeah. Ohio farms towards a Scythe of Vice. Maybe he has that before Anti-Mage gets more than a Manta style. All these little factors could make the difference for Orange, and with the Tier 1 down mid and the Tier 1 down bottom, the next time they take a fight, they could really be looking at Roche.
And here's where the Sand King pick really comes in. They had a second pick Sand King, and I think he's a fantastic hero because of his instant stun. You can't dodge it like Storm Spirit can't always dodge it. And he had a very nice dodge on a Light Strike array, but right after that, he gets Burrow Strike and then just immediately dies. It's very difficult to dodge the instant cast stuns when you have a very small cast time on that ball lightning. So again, they've been doing a very good job of trying to set up stuns with vacuum, and as soon as Sand King gets a blink, it's going to be a totally different game, but that might be 35 minutes into the making.
Well, RNG Sports, I think they have the items to go look towards a Roche engagement if they want. They may want to get a gem, though, because you look at what Tongfu have, just an absolute minefield of wards layered across the middle section of the map.
What a sentry there by the Shadow Demon, placing it earlier.
And Mushi, well, it's supposed to be a bait, but it's not really, and Storm simply zips away. Also picked up his Orchid shortly before this engagement in RNG Sports. In spite of that, smoke not working. They may barrel down the mid lane.
It was still a good smoke, though. They got this ward down, and I think it's very important, especially when they want to siege the T2 tower.
And with a Hyperstone on the bear, the tower is not long for this world. Tongfu don't have a glyph. I think Orange could take this uncontested, the glyph used in that previous engagement mid. It's dropping low, Net on the high ground. Good positioning from him for the time being. And Tongfu, well, they'll wait it out. And Orange back off in the end. Hao looking at a tower bottom, but the glyph is there. If Hao gets rooted, he could fall. And in the end, it will be a tower deny. No,
Whoa,
doesn't get the deny.
wow.
That's a big mistake. Every bit of
Hero
gold,
siege creep.
every bit of gold is so important at this stage of the game. Because Hao is starting to really accelerate his farm. 9k gold, he's almost even with the Lone Druid, and you get that next item, you get the Vlads or the Manta style, and then he really starts to pull away.
Yeah, and this Lone Druid is looking very well in terms of farm too, though. He already has his Hyperstone, and they almost just demolish that T2 tower. And it looks like Tongfu will really retaliate with a smoke on top, but there is no anti-mage there, so it could be a 5v4 fight.
Well, he'll push the bottom lane. Even if this fails, it does buy him a bit of time to farm. I suppose that's the good news for them. The Rocket Flare heads
they are
bottom.
so careful. Orange is just very vigilant about what is going on around the map right now. Mushi, with his Vit Booster, Treads, Ultimate Orb, he has a lot of HP. Should be able to survive should they initiate on them. And look at these three supports just ready if anything bad happens to their Mushi.
The downside is being that defensive means Hao just does whatever he wants. He farms mid, he farms bottom, he goes into the jungle. It's not that burning level of farm we saw yesterday, that's for sure. But end of the day, he's got 7 CS a minute. It's not too shabby. He'll head into the next creep camps and just continues to accumulate gold. He's got a Yasha now, I believe, or maybe an Ultimate Orb. Gone for the Yasha, the better farming item. He's still a bit squishy. I don't know that Orange have the burst. I feel like they need the Assault Cuirass on the Lone Druid to actually kill him during a stun.
I feel like they need to push out their lanes a little bit more. They have all three of the T1s now, but it still feels like they're in a very defensive position where they're always trying to defend towers and just scramble around the map to keep their lanes pushed out.
Mid lane, the tower's going to drop. Triple teleport from Orange, but it's too late. Tongfu, very elusive, as we mentioned during the draft. They'll back off. They've taken a tower unopposed, but mid lane, it will be King J who's gotten caught. They do find a kill on the Clockwork. I suppose it's worth it then, tier 1 for 1 kill. The big news is now Orange can look to push. Surgeon on the Sand King. Net heads up the hill. This Scorpion's got legs, and he can use them. The tower's taking a lot of damage mid. Is there a buyback on Clockwork? I don't think he'll use it for a tier 2. If he doesn't, the tower falls. Assault Cuirass coming soon. This will be the window for Orange. AC about to come online for KYXY. In fact, heading out on the courier as we speak. Oh, no, still needs the recipe, I believe. But he gets that. They already have the mech. Maybe they get a Blink Dagger on net in the next few minutes, but they really want to start taking these tier 2s all over the map and limiting Tongfu to staying in their base.
Yeah, but look at where the creep waves are right now. Radiance creeps are all the way up here and on the top lane, all the way down here on the side lane. They really need to push these side lanes out. Again, take control of the jungle so that they can't farm up stacks. They have this... they need a ward up here in case they start ancient stacking. I think Tongfu has been a little lackadaisical about that, but Orange needs to push out lanes. They need to do Roshan. It's 25 minutes in. They had their T1 towers down early. They have a Lone Druid. All these are very, just very nice for them to do Roshan, but they haven't done it yet, and I don't know why.
And Hao has finally eclipsed the Lone Druid. He's now leading in terms of, even in terms of CS, but he's leading in terms of net worth, even if it's only by 30 gold. The point is, there was a point in this game where he's behind by 3-4K.
There's the Manta style.
There's your Manta style. Tongfu want to fight. It's already 5 a.m., even though it's not quite yet here on the west coast of the United States. Orange will back off. Mushi hoofing it to the base. It's just a scary sign for me that they are the ones who constantly feel like they have to play this defensively. They went Lone Druid safe lane. They went aggressive Charlie and Weaver. They went Darkseer mid. A lineup that builds an early mech, a lineup that gets an early pushing item or two on a pushing hero in the Lone Druid, and slows down the AM's farm and looks to fight, looks to take towers early and often. Those early objectives, I would say they've only been partially completed at best. And end of the day, Hao farming freely. And
they've been winning, like, they won the last engagement pretty handily, or the one before the one they picked off Clockwork, but I think it was like a 4-1, 5-1 wipe for them in the middle, and they took out the T1. They're definitely strong enough to fight right now if they have a decent execution with the vacuum and the burrow strike. But aside from that, I think that Tongfu has been doing a very good job of applying a lot of pressure on the map, using smoke ganks, and although I haven't seen too many hook shots, they've been doing a lot of just very good job of keeping Orange feeling threatened for most of the game.
And Orange really do feel threatened. I'm just seeing nets. His gold is not going up. I feel a Blink Dagger is so important for him if Orange want to take this later. BKB has been completed on the Darkseer. That means no Scythe of Ice for a very long time this game. It'll be at least, I would say, 35 minutes plus before he could complete one. Well,
they really need the Manta up on Mushi right now. With the Orca completed on the Storm Spirit, he's very, very vulnerable. There's a small window where he just might just straight up die if he gets Orca. But when he gets his Manta, he can just split out of it, easy peasy, and time-lapse if he has taken a lot of damage recently.
but I like what Hal's doing. He's farming the enemy jungle. He's got illusions working the creep wave down while he pushes with his hero.
Look at his positioning right now. I mean, come on, look at this.
There's a storm on the enemy team and had a Sight device, or even if he just was a storm, and because they have Sand King follow-up, Hal wouldn't be here. But the fact that he can be there is one of the weaknesses of Orange's lineup. And again, it just speaks to Net not having a Blink Dagger.
And those failed smoke ganks too. Yeah, they failed, I think, almost all their smoke ganks. 2 on bottom and 1 in mid. And I mean, that's part of Hal's job. He's been playing very smart and vigilant and only escaping with 1 death this game. But again, with their lineup, with their draft, with Sand King Lina, you really need to make things happen.
Storm zipping towards the south. Moo, he sees some creeps and he wants to farm them. He's going towards the BKB. And I'm a bit worried about how Orange deal with him as well. Even if you do somehow manage to kill the Anti-Mage, a Storm with an Orchid and a BKB becomes a real problem for their lineup. They have decent physical damage, I suppose, but it doesn't matter if you root the Storm. He can still zip away. His mana pool's not fantastic, but it's enough for a well-executed fight. As long as he's not careless with his mana pool, he'll be able to use the spells that he needs. And without that lockdown, heroes like Lina, who have 850 HP at 29 minutes in, food. Net with 960 HP, 29 minutes in, food. It's going to be a feast for the Storm, I feel, once the BKB comes up, and it's coming soon.
I feel that a Basher pickup on the Bear after his AC, which is already completed, would be very nice, specifically for that reason. They need more lockdown for the Anti-Mage. They need more lockdown for the Storm Spirit. And, I mean, it's getting to that point where the farm lead is becoming very, very scary.
Twitch chat is amazing. Never change, guys. Never change. King J, he'll send a rocket towards the bottom lane. They're going to go for Roche now. RNG Sports, Manta style up on Mushi. You mentioned just how important it is so he doesn't get orchided and blown up in the fights. Well, it's here now. Of course, Tongfu, if they're going to give up a Roche, they're going to get something in return. That'll be the top tier 2. Hal sieging that with his own illusions. I think they're fine with giving this up. Although that being said, there is a clockwork hook. King J's in the neighborhood, and Net says, go back. Go back where you came from. Roche will fall. Aegis goes to Mushi, not to KYXY. So if the bear dies once, well, he's dead. But RNG Sports, they've taken a Roche. They've given up a tier 2 top for it. Bottom lane, Storm will simply zip away. And they didn't get the tier 2 bottom, but a bit of chip damage was done to it. It's a nice thing to pick up this Aegis Merlini, but I don't feel like it's... Some games you get Aegis and you just win the game off of that. This is not one of those games.
Yeah, most certainly not. And I see the Belt of Strength, so it does look like a Basher next. But looking at the creep equilibrium, like, check this out. On the top lane, it's almost at their T2 tower, or where it used to be at least. And bottom is at their T2 tower. So Tongfu with Anti-Mage split pushing top. I mean, are they ever going to be able to get to that point where they can push out every single lane and finally make use of this Aegis? I feel like Tongfu is just going to be content to farm up and, hey, Orange, if you want to take a fight, you're going to lose a T3 tower or perhaps even a Rax if you do. And they're just going to try and burn out the Aegis, wait for Anti-Mage to get their heart, and then just wait for some sort of mistake on Orange's part, whether it be pushing or they shouldn't or just getting caught out.
He's actually opting to skip hard. He's going BKB, and I like this choice a lot because they have a BKB on Storm. Double BKB, what's going to kill you now? You can't be Burrow Striked. The physical damage from a Lone Druid, he can dodge that between Manta Style to get out of Roots and BKB to do it. And I feel like he can win the man fight with almost any hero in this game. Probably any one, for sure. And it allows Tongfu to force some fights now if they'd like. It allows him to split push more aggressively because he knows if he gets caught, he can BKB, blink away, and TP out, and there's just no way to kill him.
I personally would prefer a heart on him just because I still feel like he is somewhat vulnerable to physical damage. He only has 14 armor, and that may sound like a lot, but they already have an AC up on the Bear, and they have Swarm on the Reaver.
I guess doesn't have any damage. If he gets bashed, that would be the one way he dies. But otherwise, he can Manta out of Root, he can BKB out of Root.
I mean, they have a Blink Dagger on Sand King now, so if they get the jump on him, then he might just die before he can pop his BKB. But if he has a heart, he can usually just blink out. They don't have that much disable. They have the Sand King stun and then Alina stun, and after that, they really have to rely on a Lucky Bash or a very, very short-timed vacuum disable to try and kill him. But, I mean, an Anti-Mage with, like, 2,500 HP, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to kill him in that short a time window. But regardless, BKB already up on the Anti-Mage, and he is farming like a champion. Almost 17,000 in net worth.
Yeah, he's now eclipsed the Lone Druid by 3k gold. Moo's going to push in the bottom lane. Their two strongest heroes on this lane, chipping away at the creeps. He'll back off. He'll lumber away. I guess Storm Spirit kind of toddles, but Tongfu, they're defending their tower top.
Gold difference is at 0. It's finally
really?
swung in favor of Tongfu.
It's been a long journey for them. It's actually only ever been a 5K gold deficit, which is basically nothing. My big question is for Orange, what are they going to do with this Aegis? They got the Aegis. It was a late one. They got the Manta Style and Mushi. It's being reclaimed in 3 minutes. Do they actually look to fight off of this, or are they just saying we can't really win right now?
I don't think they can.
We have to farm.
They can't do it right now. They picked up a gem on Darkseer, and he's still a long way going until Scythe of Ice, but I feel like neither team is going to commit to something risky, which is pretty much just pushing a T3 tower 5v5 until very, very late into the game, whether that means another T3. Ooh. Oh my god, Blitz is yelling. But I feel like they're not going to make a push until Anti-Mage gets a really big item, whether that be a heart or a butterfly next. Perhaps a Scythe of Ice on a Storm Spirit. Tongfu is just content to farm. They have the way better split pushing lineup.
Yeah, the thing is they have the Storm. So Orange can be punished for split pushing, whereas Tongfu, it's much harder to punish them, especially because the two heroes that are going to do it both have BKBs. As a result, they push faster, they push safer. Orange, they're stuck farming. They have a Basher now in KYXY. He's just gotten the gold for the recipe. And they look to push this bottom tower. They'll have to do it without their Lone Druid. They don't have even a hero like Keeper of the Light to relocate, to move around that Lone Druid. And they'll head towards this late game, but they cannot be feeling very confident about their chances.
And this gem, I mean, I think it works decently for Darkseer, but Tongfu has just been very, very vigilant about where Orange is going to be, doing a very nice job of predicting where they want to gank, and again, pushing a lot of the lanes out so that if they don't show up to push the lane, they know something's funny.
They've gone on Moo. They started with the Blink Burrow. Defensive disruption won't get him out. Laguna is not enough. He BKBs, he zips away, and now they go in. Moo zips back. He wants to fight. Back is there. Catches out a few. Now the Epi. He got pushed away by the Cogs. Again and again, thwarted by those stinking Cogs. It's really limited damage. They do get the Shadow Demon. Anti-Mage losing, trying to kill off Extinct. Can't do it in the end. Lone Druid has joined this fight. He's teleported and ran his way down here. And they're going to work on the tower. There's no Shadow Demon. Of all the heroes to kill, he's actually, I would say, the most important one after the Anti-Mage and the Storm. He gives you a lot of firepower by disrupting the Anti-Mage. He also keeps you safe. And as a result, they're forced to forfeit the tower. A nice little engagement from Orange.
Unfortunately, Shadow Demon is only level 9, so he's back in a measly 3 seconds from now. And they had to use it quite a... I feel like the Epi was pretty good, but that Cog was just absurd in how disruptive it was.
Yeah, Bulba was whining about how Clockwork just isn't worth picking anymore. He has retracted those statements, but end of the day, we do see if you don't have a BKB, Cogs still do a lot of work.
So looking at the gold difference, is almost back to 0 right now in terms of net worth. Anti-Mage nearing the 20,000 mark. Lone Druid shortly behind with around 17,000. Weaver a little bit underfarmed for my liking, but he is almost on par with the Storms here. Both of them sitting around 12,500 gold.
They're going to try to take this late. Mushi's up to 3.5k. Aegis about to be reclaimed. They haven't even threatened the base. There's no structural damage there whatsoever. Orange Esports head into the late game with a lineup that has a good late game, but it just doesn't have the lockdown, you feel. So maybe we'll see a Scythe of Ice on Ohio, but he's still a long way off, sitting about a good 4k plus gold away from it. And for the, oh, not 4k plus, but around 4k gold, 3.8 or so. And they've got to farm a lot more items if they want to beat an Anti-Mage. Because by the time, I guess the one way they could try and beat Hao is let him get 6-slotted and then get 6-slotted on the Lone Druid as well as the Weaver. But that is a long way off.
So King J actually has a Ghost Scepter and a mech. I'm not sure if Ghost Scepter is the best choice. Sure, their two physical carries, or their two carries almost have all physical damage, but they have an Epi center on...
This is bad. Ooh. This is very bad for Orange. They've surged their way in, but an entire raiding party of Tongfu is here. Maybe not. Tongfu, I thought they were going to look to fight that. They fed away a gem for nothing. Neck gets pulled back in. He's mech'd up. He surged away. He will live. Now the root and the bash on Moo drops him low. He is able to BKB and jump out. And Orange,
that was so
forward.
Scary. Wow. Stormseer was almost forced to die or almost forced to buy back right there. Whew, that was just 70 damage away.
Hao does have more gold. I think he's just bought something. Blink, Burrow on the illusions to clean them off. What does he purchase? He's got a completed butterfly at base. He'll need to go back for this soon. He doesn't want to die without his butterfly. He's going to have it be for the next fight. There's no MKB on the Lone Druid.
Shadow Demon already respawned.
And there's no MKB on Mushi, but they're trying to break this base, and they're trying to do it now. Shadow Demon back I don't know if it's in fighting shape, but he's back in action for the time being, even if he's still wounded, even if he's still a little bit piddling. King J's hooked in. He's caught KYXY. They want to blow up the tankiest hero on the enemy team. He gets pulled out of the cogs. He'll be okay. The wall was deployed. Banana low. BKB. Darkseer doesn't finish the job. Now he gets purged. Hal jumps in, head full of steam and a butterfly in tow, and he's going to work. He's going to town. He's killing them all off. KYXY next, extinct, on the run. The lone 2 survivors. Just Mushi and that poor Lena. That was just the wrong time to fight. Right as the butterfly was up, did not work out.
And that was with a 4-man vacuum wall by the Darkseer, and they lost a gem there, which is not the biggest deal in the world. But I mean, they don't have any invis, but still, whew, I mean,
the thing is, Tongfu just lost their gem, and in the space of a minute, they got it back and they got 4 kills.
I feel like they sort of made the same mistake that LGD China made yesterday, where they could have just waited for the next Aegis, and they had an Aegis before. They had 6 minutes to do it, but they decided to push in the 4 minutes that the Aegis is down. And what did they have going for them at that moment? Shadow Demon was dead like maybe 10 seconds before, but he was already up, so they were still fighting 5-on-5. They've been playing very safe, and then the one time they decided to push a T3, they don't actually have a big item that was just completed. I mean, they have a Demon Edge on the Lone Druid's Bear, probably MKB next, and a Demon Edge as well in the Weaver, but no big items, nothing that really stands out to me as like, hey, we should really push right now, besides all of them were clumped already there. And meanwhile, Anti-Mage has that really big pickup in the Butterfly.
We may see him go Abyssal next. Generally, if you get the BKB, you just go Butterfly Abyssal. I guess he could go Heart this game, but I feel like you get the Abyssal Blade, and you could just kill... You can kill one of those key heroes for Orange, whatever it is, the Weaver, the Lone Druid, the Darkseer, and then the fight just kind of falls apart from there for them. Like, they're a team that can't really win the fight with 1 or 2 heroes. Tongfu can. With the Anti-Mage, the Storm, either of these heroes can kill 3 or 4 in the right situation. So, well, we'll see what Hal goes for, but he's got 4.7k gold. Roshan number 2 coming in just a few moments, and what do you know? A perfect time to kill the tier 2 bottom. The dire Roshan advantage is now officially gone, and Tongfu will march into the pit.
I think if Tongfu gets his Aegis right now, Orange just straight up loses the game. It's almost, I mean, the goal difference isn't actually that big, but with the heroes and the pace of the game, I think 2,500 is a lot at this point.
Yeah, it's a lot to deal with. Sangsheng is waiting. BKB, zip forward. He's silenced the net. Now he looks to blow him up. Hal jumps in. He's got a BKB too. They bring down that pesky little Sand King. Wall, Vacuum are really well deployed, but I don't think it matters. Hal is just slicing and dicing. If they get a bash, if they get a root now, it could be enough, but they can't seem to find one. They're on the chase. They're on the hunt. They need something going their way. It's just not connecting. 2 heroes dead. Sangsheng will fall, but Mu zipping here. Zapping there. Buyback from Mushi. He can rejoin this fight fairly quickly. King J's low. Laguna to the face. Brings him down. Stun on Hal. Can they get a bash? Where's the bash? Where's the root? Nothing for KYXY. He is coming up with all zeros. There's your bash from Mu. He will take a fall. In the end, they come out on top there. Buyback on Mushi. That was
such an important fight. Right before the next Roshan too.
Ridiculous.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the Black King Bar didn't actually do anything for him, but I mean, this Darkseer has been playing phenomenally in the team fights.
Yeah, the last fight, well, he thought he had a kill on the Twin-Headed Dragon. He backed off and then died, but his vacuum walls have been on point, and it may have just allowed RNG Sports to get back in this game. The gold lead still is 5,000 for Tongfu.
That is a lot of buybacks. Buyback on the Clockwork, buyback on the Storm Sphere, buyback on the Shadow Demon. And they do not want to give up this Roshan.
They have a basher now in Hal. After using his... or sorry, he didn't use a buyback. It was the other 3 that you mentioned. But he's going to jump into the pit here. Doesn't have the Abyssal yet, but if they... Well, if he takes this Roche, I guess the Aegis is going to go to Storm, because he doesn't have any inventory slots. And Mu really needs it, because Mu is... He had such a great start, but he is not really having a great mid-game, to be totally honest. I mean, he's done his job, he's initiated, but he has not found more items.
And that is Roshan. 41-32. Second Roshan goes to the Storm Spirit.
A great hero to get it on. Really the best in the game, I think, without any dispute. You use all your mana, you die, you come back, you have a full pool to work with again.
Storm Spirit is very close. Or, hey, he's kind of close to his Scythe of Vice, too. Again, the longer they play the Farm Wars, I think the item progression is just much better for Tongfu. Anti-Mage already just being very, very stacked right now. With the Abyssal Blade, I mean, he's 4,400 gold.
He'll get the Abyssal Blade once he has buyback, and I think not before that. But he's getting closer to it, and they'll siege the top lane. Hal in the front lines. There's really no way they can go on him. They have to find somebody else. You can't really go on Storm because he's got a BKB and Aegis, mainly the Aegis. You can't really go on anti-mage because he's nigh unkillable and he can always be disrupted. You have to find the Shadow Demon first in these fights, but it's hard to do unless he's really out on his own.
So a couple Ghost Scepters picked up on the supports right now, but I think Tongfu is just going to keep playing passively. They have the Aegis, so Orange, if they push right now, they're almost certainly going to lose. So they either have to find a very, very smart pick, whether that be use of smoke, whether Net finds a really sick, nasty Blink Epi, or just Blink Stun into a Lina combo. They need something going for them before this game just goes out of their hands.
Orange, I do feel like they've hung around a long time. They've been on the back foot, but they had a scrappy little engagement at Roche. If they get the right vacuum wall, I mean, we saw the power of that ultimate.
There's the Abyssal.
It can really turn the fights. Abyssal is up.
He doesn't actually have buyback money right now. I'm checking his gold. He has 1550 reliable gold, and buyback takes 1700 right now, but I don't think he's going to die.
He'll kill 2 creep camps here. He'll have it. He's heading top. Maybe not. Actually, he's heading back towards mid. Is he really going to fight without it?
Oof.
Oh, sorry. Did his illusions get it? No, yeah, he's still short in terms of reliable gold, but
right. I mean, he's going to lose around 600 gold from dying. So again, he doesn't have enough gold right now to buy back. And I mean, I think he's a smart enough player to just farm it up real fast.
He could just farm it. It would take him a minute, but he'll head top. He will farm it, and then you've got 2 anti-mages in the fights. I guess the one issue is he want to boost the travel buyback, so he can't instantly rejoin the fights. But if Tongfu somehow lose a fight at Orange's base, they won't lose racks off of it. Hao will be able to buy back. And of course, the Storm Spirit can probably get away with his second life. So we'll see how things go for Tongfu from here. They're ahead. It's game 1 of this best of 5. The Dota 2 Super League, your second semifinal. Yesterday, in spectacular fashion, we saw Team DK march forward. Cow is running over here in a panic, thinking that the game is over. Well, we'll have an initiation right now. King J fishing for a hook. He's found Net. That's the one you want. They blow him up. That means a gem on the floor, but more importantly, Orange on the run. No Sand King here. And this could be bad. A Blink, an Abyssal. Actually, the Monovoid, not enough. Net with a really well-timed Ghost Scepter, but he's just killing the bear. No Lone Druid Bear. It'll drop here. Is there a resummon? There is. And now, let the siege begin. 5 a.m. It hit us a while ago, but this 5 a.m. feels a lot darker and a lot scarier for Orange than the earlier one did.
Nope, time to farm.
Just kidding. They got a kill on the Sand King. They'll back off.
Storm Spirit very close to his Scythe of Vice, just around 300 gold away. Again, the pressure is not really felt by Tongfu at this point. Orange really confined to their base. They were pretty much just turtling up their T3 in middle, unable to really do anything at this point. Ghost Scepter up on Alina, but, I mean, Sand King just got blown up. He got blinked on, he got Abyssal, he got Orchided, and he just melted in a matter of seconds. And that is the power of the burst of Tongfu's lineup right now. Orange, I mean, sure, they have a lot of damage and a lot of items, but not really too much burst.
They really have to fight at their base. They need a perfect vacuum wall, and you're just very unlikely to find one outside of the base. You're also liable to get your Sand King picked off. The end of the day, the issue is going to be Net can still, they're still trying to fight outside of here. I really don't like this choice from RNG Esports. And they'll go, the Blink Burrow is there, but Hao simply pops Manta, gets disrupted, and now Orange have to run, and they got to run quickly at that. Well, they'll back off. They'll be okay. Maybe not. A Blink and Abyssal, and then Hao beats a hasty retreat. The buyback's available. Epi, burrow in. They've caught Song Chung. He's the one you want to kill. Hook, not going to last, but a zip in from King J. Finds X-Stink on the backside. Pops his DKB.
Oh, the root!
Could kill Ohio, too. They do manage to bring down the Anti-Mage. He buys back immediately. Ohio falls as well. 3 on the sidelines for Orange, and now with an Anti-Mage coming back and a Boots of Travel buyback, he did farm it. This could be the end unless Orange have some buybacks of their own. Mushi, he's been bashed. He's been monovoided. Boom, shakalaka. Down he goes. Storm still in fighting condition. They've only really lost a Shadow Demon here, and they're looking to end game 1 and march into game 2 with a 1-0 advantage. Tongfu, Orange checking their buybacks quickly. There's a buyback available on the Lone Druid, and that's it. But he's alive already. This is pretty much the end.
Yep, and I mean, Lone Druid hasn't really been getting too many really clutch bashes. He got one nice root there, but again, too little, too late. Lone Druid, a nice pickup, but I mean, he just seems to lose a lot of his effectiveness since before 6.7 and 8, and I'm really not sure why. I mean, Armlet wasn't how?
We'll have one last clash. The vacuum's there. Dark's here. No wall available, unfortunately. Now Net gonna drop. This is the end for RNG Esports in game number 1, unless they can kill Hao. Well, they'll try to do it. He leaps forward. He marches forward. He finds KYXY, and they zip, and they zap, and they keep on blowing up heroes with ease. It'll be the end, and at long last, Orange know they're defeated. They'll accept that defeat, and they'll move into Game 2 with a 1-0 deficit.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit confused as to why Darkseer picked the Black King bar that early. I mean, they kind of needed to just push up the base and take out an early Rax, especially with the way the game was going. Maybe if Anti-Mage was a little bit less farmed, I would have approved the item choice, but I think that they could have just gotten away with the Pipe, because he's only really vulnerable to an Orchid, and yeah, sure, you can beat the Orchid, but I mean, they don't have any other disable other than that, and they needed a little bit more defensive capabilities for their team, for the creeps, for the bear, in order to push up that T3 tower.
Well, end of Game 1. Tongfu, they took it. It was deliberate. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. It worked well. And I got to say, I don't feel like Orange can give away Shadow Demon Anti-Mage. That combo, it's been on the rise lately. It kind of reminds me of the International 1, where there weren't many carries in the pool, and Anti-Mage was getting picked pretty much every game. Even Spectre was seeding quite a few play back then. There was only 48 heroes or something like that. But, well, they give away Shadow Demon Anti-Mage, and Tongfu...
That's never a core you want to give away.
Like many, especially to a Chinese team,
right?
Because they just know how to take advantage, and they do.
Anti-Mage is scary. I mean, most of the time he's
kind of a messed up dude. Like, if you read his lore... He's like Magic did one. Like he uses magic to kill people who use magic. The guy blinks around.
Right. I feel like a lot of
he has Monoboy. It's a spell.
I feel like a lot of the Chinese teams haven't been able to shut him down in the safe lane though. They've tried a lot of different sorts of aggressive triple lanes, but he still finds his Battle Fury like 15 minutes plus or minus 2 or 3, and they just can't shut him down. They don't have the lockdown for it. They don't have the proper aggression to try and handle him. And a big part of that game, they weren't able to push out the lanes in maybe like the 15 to 30 minute mark of the game. Like they had a lot of good farm, especially on the lone druid, but they couldn't put out any pressure on the map, and they just like slowly succumbed to this super farmed Anti-Mage.
And a lot of that was the Storm pick. Without the Storm there was nothing that really threatened Orange split pushing. The Lone Druid was so tanky. I feel like unless 3 or 4 heroes smoke ganked him, he could have easily taken 8 in a stun to the face and then still TP'd out and gotten away. But eventually Anti-Mage got big enough that he could provide that pressure as well. But for me, the big thing was, even though in the end Mu didn't have fantastic stats, he did his job. He put pressure on the lanes. He got an early Orchid. He didn't go for BKB because the Orchid allows him to find solo kills. And even if he's not actually getting the kills, he's threatening to do so. And Orange, they grouped up as 4 behind their tier 1 as early as like 20 minutes in. And you just can't be in that position when the Anti-Mage already has a Battle Fury and he's split pushing and farming his jungle, your Ancients, and all 3 lanes.
It was a slightly greedy lineup, but they didn't go greedy item choices though. As we were talking about before, they just lacked a lot of damage. And I mean, there were some close calls there, but they would just, I don't know. They just didn't. They couldn't blow up Anti-Mage. They're Storm Spirit and Anti-Mage, very elusive heroes. If you don't kill them in 1 stun, to even 2 stuns with the Burrow Strike, Light Strike, Array, they're just going to get away, and then they're just going to keep sieging you down like that. It was.
In the end, Orange.
It was a little frustrating for them.
In the end, Orange Esports tried to take it late in game number 1, but they didn't have the horses to win that race. They'll march into game 2 with an 0-1 deficit, but it's a best of 5, guys. It's your last semifinal for the Dota 2 Super League. $165,000 in prizes approximately available to be claimed. Who's going to claim them? Well, we'll get some more answers to that after today. Stay tuned. Game 2 coming up next.